Well, good morning, and a pleasant welcome to the Freedom News Archive. The 19 editions of the Freedom News Archive on today's Saturday. I am a lone presenter, Benjamin Quay Johnson. This magazine program highlights measures happening during the week, and we play you old music from the 80s and 90s. So if you are just joining us, we'd like to say welcome. This is Freedom Radio, Freedom FM 87.9. Whatever you are doing this morning, we'd like to say welcome. If you are taking your exercise, a regular Saturday morning exercise, we say welcome. This is Freedom News Archive. I'm Benjamin Johnson presenting this morning. I'm a low presenter. Like I said, we bring you all songs, including major happenings during the week. So let's bring this one down and go strictly to our headlines. President George Weah during the week named good governance as the surest way of sustaining national development in the sub-region. National Election Commission during the week issued the elections rate for the conduct of the by-elections in senatorial elections in Louisville County. Stephen Stewart Hall will bring you details of the major story that's happened during this week. Once again, I'm Benjamin Quay Johnson. And I'm bringing our fresh development here this morning on this program. President George Weah during the week named good governance as the sure ways of sustaining development in the sub-region, addressing the second ECOWAS Associations of Accountancies bodies in West Africa joint Congress during the week at the Farmington Hotel. President Weah said good governance and sustainable development for regional prosperity correspond with the core of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goal and the African Union's 2063 aspirations for Africa. The Liberian leader reminded participants at a meeting that It was time leaders of the sub-region fulfilled their present need for citizens without compromising in the ability of the future generation. He said it is equally important that the member state ensure sustainable development in the sub-region, nothing that the content itself must not be based on the choice that make in the process by which those choices are made. Here is President George Mani Weah speaking.
I'm delighted that Liberia has been chosen as the venue for this important and historic regional event, the second Joint Congress, the Economic Community of West African State Commission, likewise an association of accountancy body in West Africa, ABWA. I'm also honored to have been invited to be a special guest of honor at this event, to have been chosen by you to give the keynote address on this occasion. I'm informed that this joint congress is dedicated to showcasing the potential and strength of the accountancy profession in Liberia, the West African sub-region, and beyond, and that this is intended to enhance the economic growth of both private and the public sectors of our regional bloc through the development of professional networks of competence and high standards. I believe that conferences and congresses such as this one provide a basis for knowledge sharing amongst professional networks. It can serve to advance prospects, externalizations, and uplift the quality of the practice of accountancy within our sub-region. Let me commend the leadership of our own professional accountancy body, Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, LIPA, for their diligence and steadfastness in working with other regional professionals to host the historic Joint Congress in Liberia for the first time. The importance of good governance to achieve sustainable development has never been more important. Our present and future prosperity than now. This makes the theme for this Congress particularly relevant as we search lasting solutions to the many problems of underdevelopment that are common to the member states of ECOWAS. Additionally, the theme, good governance and sustainable development for regional prosperity, corresponds with the code of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals and the African Union's 2063 Aspiration for Africa. Various institutions of the United Nations continue to assert that in order to achieve and maintain sustainable development, we must satisfy our present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to eventually satisfy theirs. It is therefore important that our member states will ensure that sustainable development in our sub-region and the continent itself must be based on the choices that we make and the processes by which these choices are made. They will not only ensure that there is broad consensus and acceptance of the governance processes that are used in our decision making, but will also enable us to achieve stable and long-term economic growth.
Meanwhile, the Joint Congress, according to the Liberian leader, is dedicated to showcase the potentials and strength of the accountancy professions in Liberia, the West African and the West African regions and beyond. Meanwhile, President Weah expressed delight that Liberia was chosen as the venue for such a historical event, the second Joint Congress of the Economic Communities of West African State Commissions and the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa. Here is President Weah once again.
I'd like to commend the ECOWAS Commission and ABWA for this joint initiative. On behalf of the government and people of Liberia and AMI, we will also be able to see reductions of regional differences, growth, personal income, and consumption, proportionate balance, economic social development, and beneficial employment. development policy, preservations of the environment for future generations, efficient usage and allocation of natural resources as enshrined in the Sustainable Development Goal, the SDGs. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is also important for us to recognize the importance of the accountancy profession in our country. Accountancy professionals, whether in private or public sector, provide accounting expertise to guide financial planning and to maintain fiscal discipline. These professionals lead or assist their institutions with the development and implementation of their corporate strategy and advisory services, institute measures to reduce costs by being efficient in their services, mitigate and hedge against various tech risks while maintaining high ethical standards. This form code of public trust, confidence, and value provide the basis of accountability and probability in our governance systems. By so doing, ladies and gentlemen of the accountancy profession here present, you have earned our respect and gratitude. And now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm greatly honored to officially state that the second ECOWAS Abua John Congress 2022, which is being held here at the Farmington Hotel, Habib, Magibi County, Liberia, is now open for business.
He's President George Weah speaking during the week when he served a keynote speaker at the Farmington Hotel. The National Election Commission during the week issued the election rules for the conduct of the local county senatorial by-elections. Speaking at the new conference at the headquarters of the National Election Commission Friday during the week, National Election Commission Chairperson, Councillor David Hector Brown Lassanan says the NEC is given the opportunity to conduct a by-elections, which is critical support to the candidates of the National Election democratic role being played in ensuring the state run for the people of the country. According to Councillor Brown, Article 37 of the Constitution state that in event of a vacancies at the legislature caused by death, resignation, expulsion, or otherwise, the presiding officers shall, within 30 days, notify the National Election Commission. The National Election Commission shall not later than 90 days, therefore, of course, by elections. Here is Councillor David Hector Brown Lassanan.
And of Article 37, requiring the NEC to post a by-election to be held within 90 days of being notified. I, on behalf of the Board of Elections, command you to issue election rates to the assigned elections magistrates of lower and upper local county to conduct a senatorial by-election in their respective assigned areas. That the said election shall be held on the 10th day of May 2022 from the hour of 8 ante-meridian to 6 post-meridian, and that you shall certify to me by endorsement upon this night at the close of counting the votes as to the form and manner executed this night. I do hereby direct that the last day for nomination of aspirants by registered political parties, alliances, coalitions, and/or independent aspirants for the said by-elections shall end on the first day of April 2022, 5 o'clock post-meridian. And for so doing, this shall constitute your legal and sufficient authority, giving under my hand and seal of the National Elections Commission of the Republic of Liberia this 18th day of March, AD 2022. The chairperson, David Brown Lassanan, National Elections Commission.
I have what Councillor David Hector Brown Lassanan presenting the election rate to the Board of Commissions and the chairpersons of local county by-elections said, in keeping with the demand of the Article 37 of the Liberian Constitution, the NEC, on behalf of the Board of Commissions, commend the issues elections rate to the upper and lower local county magistrate to conduct the by-elections in their respected area. According to the NEC chairperson, they said elections shall be held before the 10th date of May 2022 to the hours of 8 to 6 p.m., whereas the last date for motion, nomination, or registered political party, alliance, coalition, or independent aspirant for the said election shall end on the first day of April at 5 p.m. 2022. Here is Asana Brown again.
The Elections Commission is given the opportunity to conduct the by-elections, which is critical support to the continuance of our democratic role that we play continuously in ensuring that the state continues to run for the people, of the people, and by the people. The National Elections Commission, having been established a little over a decade ago, is a critical institution in democratizing Nigeria. We embrace this role and we plan its execution. Article 37 of the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria states, in the event of a vacancy in the legislature caused by death, resignation, expulsion, or otherwise, the presiding officer shall, within 30 days, notify the Elections Commission thereof. The Elections Commission shall not later than 90 days thereafter cause the by-election to be held. Whereas the National Elections Commission received from the Honorable Senate a notification on 16 February 2022 informing the NEC of a vacancy in the Senate for a seat for Lofa County.
She, Councillor David Etta Brown, Chairperson, National Election Commission, speaking during the week. She's Princess Fatu Giflo. Bekewa Kunai. Let me say good morning to Frank Mountain. Frank Palace Mountain. And the news directors of Freedom Communication Incorporated. Willie Toba, he's not very well. Good morning, boss. If you're just joining us, this is Freedom Communication Incorporated, and the program is Freedom News Archive. Hey, it's Prince Call. Wherever you are, you can follow us through our Facebook page or Freedom FM 87.9. Good morning to our news director. Willie Toba, and the editor-in-chief, Jeff Jefferson. Mr. Jeff Jefferson, the mayor of Marimena. He's legally married to his beautiful wife, Miss Jefferson. Frank Martin, all the way there in Sino Greenville, on his national duty. Good morning, brother. His commander called River G1. You know the men are grown men, so he let River G Bene. Let's take the one down and go strictly to our development. Solicitor General Councilor Serena Seaford during the week surrounded President George Weah, Deputy Protocol Officers Leffler comments to Criminal Code A for criminal prosecution. Councilor Seaford during the week surrounded defend comments to the code where she was served with her writ of arrest along with her indictment and later pleaded to the defense bench in the sheriff's office. She was charged for aggravated assault, but prosecuting lawyers are reportedly considering amending her charge to criminal attempt to commit murder when the case commenced for litigation at the Criminal Code A. Different comment during the week arrested, according to our judicial correspondent, come as a result of a communication from Criminal Code A to Government Chief Prosecutor Councilor Serena Seaford to help arrest the defendant after the court officers were finding it difficult to arrest the defendant due to her areas of assignment. She has since been indicted by the grand jury of Moscow County for alleged honoring Madam George Weah, teachers of the GRT International Schools system with a razor blade. In another development, the management of GT Bank Liberia Limited during the week joined issues with the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission when an officer of the bank pleaded no guilty to Councilor George Kalando $3.5 million United States lawsuit against them. LACC has since indicted Global Bank Liberia Limited through its managing director, Ruchimant Sinage, and his deputy for alleged stealing $3.4 million United States from the Kalando Petroleum Incorporated account with the bank. The bank officer pleaded, according to our court correspondent, has shifted the burden on the anti-corruption institution to prove the client contained in the indictment consistent with Chapter 25, Section 25.5 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia. Our judicial correspondent further revealed that this is the second criminal bank Councilor George Kalando is prosecuted for alleged theft at Criminal Code C as the management of the GT Bank Liberia Limited is also before the same court on a similar account. Grand Creek County Senator Nimin Mbatikwad during the week described as total isolation and injustice to citizens of Riverside, Bapolu, Sino, including his own county, for reportedly being driven from benefiting electricity across the country. Speaking during the week in session, when the Grand Creek County Senator officials wrote a communication requesting the August Valley to invite the Rural Renewable Energy Agency, Senator Mbatikwad stressed that it is mandatory for every citizen to benefit electricity without any form of selections. Delivering on his communication, he reminded members of the Senate that if the situation continued in the presence of that body, the actions will be unfair to the affected citizens. According to the Grand Creek County Senator, the agency responsible has been given budgetary support to distribute electricity to those counties, but unfortunately, those citizens in the affected county are yet to receive a fair share of the power supply. Here is Senator Nemini Batikwa.
As you can attest, we have never measure of all of the discussions that we've been having here regarding the provision of electricity according to the inhabitants of their country the electricity access. And I think if we continue to witness the exclusion of these countries or the inhabitants of these countries, we will be doing injustice to the people that reside in these countries. The renewable electricity agency was created to ensure that real countries are provided electricity. But listen, you can hear about this agency that and they are being provided budgetary provision for their operation. And that is why I decided to, you cannot leave other part of the country out and even affect all things are going to be as we teach the people, but we give fair opportunity to share in the benefit of this country, in the wealth of this country. And that is why we need a program so that we can explain to us what can we do.
His Riverview County Senator Nimene Batikwa. The state-run University of Liberia during the week responded to mounting call and allegations that it is poised to fortunately graduate most Monrovia City Major Jefferson Koji, nothing that it sees no reason to deny student Koji from graduating. The university said following a series of investigations that showed that two students are bearing similar name, Jefferson T. Koji has completed all requirements as provided by the school and it qualified for graduations. The university statement was in reaction to posts made by popularity, particularly by a famous students of the university who now head the campaign for academic excellence. Madam Martin Colley, the major, was unqualified to form part of the 202 graduation class. Our reporter Annette Taylor has a report from the Capitol building.
Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Koji will have no reason to worry about the public outcry over the legitimacy of his participation in the 102nd commencement convocation of the state-run University of Liberia, following a panel of investigation report that now favors him. Koji, who is expected to join the rest of his folks at the A. Romeo Hoyton College of Business and Public Administration, came on a serious criticism recently when news escalated about his graduation from the institution with honor. Even though there was some mixed reaction over said debate, students, including a graduate of the university, Martin Colley, has since remained bent on the University of Liberia to revoke the clearance of Mayor Koji. The anti-Koji graduation factors have maintained that the mayor of the nation's capital has not met all requirements for graduation, while those in his defense, on the other hand, argued that the mayor had completed all requirements for graduation. While this debate remains a center of various discourse among academia, the University of Liberia saw it prudent to launch a swift investigation into the matter. In its investigative panel report, the University of Liberia said it finds no evidence to deny Mayor Jefferson Koji of graduation on grounds that there are two students bearing the same name. The report noted that Mayor Koji's documents are typed, which qualified his participation in the graduation exercise expected to take place this Friday. The report did not, however, state whether the other Jefferson Tamakoji is qualified or not for graduation, but said both are students of the institution and are in Liberia. Other than Jefferson Tamakoji, who enrolled in the 2012 and 2013 academic year, Mayor Jefferson T. Koji was uncovered to have enrolled in 2008 and 9 and qualified for graduation. It is now left with Mayor Koji to form part of Friday's exercise, as he was qualified and found of no fault for completing academic study at the University of Liberia. From the nation's capital, Monrovia, this is Anil Tyler reporting for Freedom News.
Sheet Howard, reporter Anil Tyler reporting on that event. The U.S. government, through its embassy near Monrovia during the week, turned over the historical archive to include archived photographs taken at Firestone after World War II to be placed in the National Museum. Speaking at the turnover ceremony held at the National Museum in Monrovia, U.S. Ambassador credited near Monrovia, Michael McCarthy, emphasized Liberia and America's historical special bond. According to Ambassador McCarthy, those historical photos were taken at Firestone after World War II, stressing the need that the two-country partnerships continue. Here is Ambassador Michael McCarthy.
I am pleased to present these photographs to the museum, which document some of Liberia's history in Harbel and around Monrovia during and immediately after World War II. During the 1930s and 40s, rainforest near Harbel was cleared to make space for new rubber groves. Simultaneously, the Firestone Harbel facility was developed as an industrial enclave to support Firestone's extensive rubber extraction and production operations. Buildings and outdoor spaces provided housing, healthcare, banking, shopping, recreation, education, and childcare, as well as infrastructure and utilities for the 185 mostly American staff living at Harbel. We hope that this collection of photographs enhances the collection of this wonderful museum and will be a historical attraction for visitors. I want to underscore that national museums such as this one can be strong draws for domestic and international tourists. They're natural centerpieces of a country's tourism strategy because they're uniquely capable of introducing people to the history and culture of a place they've never visited or perhaps have simply taken for granted. I commend the National Museum of Liberia for all that you've done to preserve and share Liberia with visitors to this country and for future generations of Liberians. Looking forward, the United States hopes to continue supporting Liberian efforts to preserve your national history and culture, working in partnership with the government and other stakeholders. The Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation, a merit-based grant competition administered by the State Department, is our primary vehicle for such activity, and we currently have a project focused on preserving and protecting Providence Island. Through the Ambassador's Fund, the United States helps to preserve cultural heritage around the world and shows our respect for other cultures. These grants, joined with national efforts, can provide seed funding, strategic planning, preservation, and archiving expertise, as well as restoration capacity. I appreciate the opportunity to be here to present these photographs to you. We're very proud of the special relationship between our countries, and we are glad to help preserve the history of that relationship here today.
For its part, Information Minister Ledger who Renning lauded the U.S. government through Ambassador McCarthy for historical photos that reflect the country's past. Minister Renning says the photos tell the long histories of the country, especially during the Second World War. He, however, expressed appreciation to the U.S. government for presenting the photograph at a time the country is celebrating a 200-year bicentennial anniversary. Minister Renning then stressed that Liberia and America's good friendships will continue and remain stronger. There is Minister Ledger Julia Renning.
So to be happy today to hear that these photos were taken right after World War II, 1943 to 1946. Those were the heydays of the start of the rubber industry here in Liberia and the rest of the world. And these photos will go a long way in telling the history of Liberia at the time. Our civil war didn't do us much good with respect to the loot of most of the precious artifacts from this facility. Other ministries and agencies hosted historical documentations and or artifacts and relics. So to see that we're beginning to get some back in different measures is so much appreciated. I would like to thank the U.S. Embassy, thank Mr. Charles for giving back to Liberia its history. We're more than grateful on behalf of the governor of Liberia to receive the photos. I know most of the time we get invitations from schools for the students to come out to see the museum. This will go a long way in enriching their idea and their knowledge of what Firestone was at the time, what Liberia was when they view these photos and read the inscriptions on the various photos. So on behalf of the governor of Liberia, I express profound appreciation to the American people through the embassy accredited here in Monrovia for the photos. I'd like to say we continue that strong bond of friendship and partnership. As the ambassador rightly said, this also coincides with our bicentennial. We're celebrating 200 years of existence as a country, and there could be no better gift coming at a time. And we're looking about rekindling our history, talking about the richness of Liberia. When we talk about Liberia recent, most of the time you hear about the checkered past, the war, Ebola, and now COVID, those sort of things. But when we talk about Liberia in generally of the 200 years, this country boasts a very rich and enviable history. And we must begin now to tell our story in resounding ways that people will understand that this country is not about the bad that usually is associated with it from time to time. And these pictures will go a long way in telling that. When I look at the picture that has the schoolgirls from CWA right down the road, it's a chilling one because our former president, Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, also was in CWA. And you can see right there, that very school comes a Nobel laureate, a Nobel Peace laureate. And so we'd like to recognize that also too.
His Minister Lejawu Jr. Rennie Elliott was U.S. Ambassador Michael McCarthy.
Right, again, welcome back to your super show, The African Beat on the Voice of America. From our studios here in Washington, D.C., I send you greetings. And, today's a very exciting day. There is no place to run, so we must take away their guns and teach them right from wrong, and that love can conquer all. You rock the cradle, you carry the world. This is our time.
This is our time. Anti-Mianta family. The voice of legend Anti-Mianta family. Let me once again say good morning to our news editor, Chief Jeff Jefferson. Mr. Jeff Jefferson and your darling wife, Mistress Jefferson. And to my own mother, Orita Johnson. And all the women in Liberia, in Africa. And the women are special people to us. They are our mothers. Mistress Biddingboden. Good morning, Mommy. This is Africa time in Liberia. This is the time of Liberia, of Liberian women. They just celebrated International Women's Day. And the women are the powerful people in the world. She and Meta family there contributing to the show. Let us go strictly to our development. Several Liberians, including commercials drivers, have raised concern over what they call hike in price of gas and fuel, which they say have resulted in the increase of transportation fare. Speaking with Freedom News during the week, the citizens attributed the situation to the crisis in Ukraine, stressing the need for speedy intervention to be made by the war body to end the situation. They noted that unless this is done, poor countries, including Liberia, will continue to face economic crisis. The citizen who spoke with Freedom News says the hike in price of this commodity has badly affected poor income earners, and there is a need for the government regulate transportation fare or address the situations soon. Our reporter Benjamin Quay Johnson was in Monrovia during the week and reported for the same. Actually 10 weeks since Russia began the invasions of Ukraine, with over 2 million plus civilians from several cities around Ukraine capital Kiev now being displaced in other countries in Western Europe. This has also economically affected other low-income countries around the world with limited access to oil and gas, while the price of other major commodities has increased in Africa, with Liberia being no exception. In Liberia, the price of fuel has since escalated, and many have shifted panic from the crisis in Ukraine. In Liberia, the price of fuel and gas has since escalated, and many have shifted to panic for the crisis in Ukraine. This latest hike in price was later confirmed by the nation's food sector. The transport fare has now by far surpassed daily income, and it's some low-income earners who are now facing the spreading of the economic panic. But what are the reactions of those affected by this situation, as residents of Bonneville and Oro community have this to say?
Oh, my name is Constant. We are live Chikizu factory.
They may increase the gas and fuel price. As a passenger, how even managing to come to town?
Really? This is a global issue, so we are paying the travel at the fare of for Bonneville journey to Johnson Square 70, but we're paying 80 now. And this morning I will come here pay $180 small bus. So right now, nothing we can do, because they said that fuel price high on the market, so they got increased price. Oh yes, I'm a student.
Which we attend?
I attend Divine Technology Liberia. Difficult for me. I think I made it very, very much difficult. Some of us, we got a hand. First, we got 150 to bring and care back, but this time we'll be approaching 300. The 50 testing and $100 testing is very, very much difficult for some of us. We the students all to come to time. More especially we are not getting hand, so it's very, very much difficult. We find it difficult. We had the community to do something about it, more especially in the transport ministry that the pass of many.
Another passenger who on board a bus Wednesday who now also hold his space on the situation attributed to Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, my name is Clarence Bomo. I hail from Barnesville.
Clarence, tell us, recently there have been escalation in the price of gas in the country, not only Liberia but around the world. Yeah. How's it affecting us as passengers?
Yeah, it is a global crisis. Right now, it is affecting us individually. Yeah, we can say now it is not our business. The war in Ukraine and then between Ukraine or Russia, it is affecting us. First, I used to afford like maybe $150 to come to town, but right now I'm going around $200 on a taxi to go to just leave from Barnesville to town. So right now it is economically it is affecting me. Yeah, it is affecting.
Cool. This also helped driver too, as they also contribute immensely to economic growth of the country. Here is one of the driver formerly called Kamen in Liberia explaining the situation faced.
Michelle X. Michael. I see you as a driver holding your car to go back home. Did you buy your car?
Yeah.
Why?
Because this place my lesson and now inspection going on, so I have to come and renew it.
This place a lesson.
Yeah.
Inspection is ongoing. That's why you back your car.
Yeah.
What's about the fuel and gas price? It's on the increase. How you been managing?
Yeah. One way or the other, we are just managing, but actually we the drivers we are fixing late challenges too, because every time we try to tell the passenger of the price, and most of them complain. And we told them why we are increasing the price, because the increase of gas price too is why we increase our prices. But most of them, they are not affording, they are not paying it, and most of them are complaining. So we do as a driver, we need peace. We are asking Ukraine to reconcile.
It is the hope of everyone, most Liberian, that the situation is addressed speedily. From Central Monrovia, I'm Benjamin Johnson for Freedom News.
He's a reporter. Benjamin Johnson reported the story during the week. ArcelorMittal Liberia and the United Worker Unions of Liberia have signed a collective bargaining agreement to guide their relationship. The signing ceremony, which took place over the weekend, during the week in Ganto, Nimba County, followed 5 months of negotiations by the company with the United Worker Union of Liberia and its local chapter, ArcelorMittal Liberia Worker Union, in finding solution to problems affecting workers and constraints in meeting target. It is the fifth since the company started operations in Liberia and is expected to take effect in 2023 as its means of strengthening the worker relationship between worker and management of the company of the country's steel giant. There is report by Esther Daku of our staff.
A win-win situation will now put to rest persistent complaints from workers of steel giant ArcelorMittal Liberia following the signing of a collective bargaining agreement to guide both parties' relationship. The signing is the climax of a 5-month negotiation with the United Workers Union of Liberia and its local chapter, ArcelorMittal Liberia Workers Union, which, among other things, highlighted an increased in tuition for school-going dependents of workers to housing, among others. The bargaining also looks at finding solutions that provide more stable and secure welfare for workers. During the negotiation, ArcelorMittal Liberia Chief Executive Officer Josephus Cohen said that the workforce at the company remains its most valued asset. As such, a negotiation was cardinal. He expressed delight that having the CBA will build and set parameters that will enhance working relationships and provide improved benefits and comforts to the workers. Furthermore, Cohen added that the next few years are critical to the company's operation in Liberia, and as such, he sees it important that the company builds stronger ties with the communities and stakeholders.
In ArcelorMittal, our workforce is our most important asset. And that is now shown as well that we have now a collective bargaining agreement, which is building on the 4 previous ones, but it has actually enhanced as well with some additional parameters and also to be able to provide additional benefits to our workers, the unionized workers. Have read the collective agreement, the critical parts, and I actually am very, very pleased to see the result. Very happy for you. I'm also happy. The next few years are critical for us here in Liberia. As I mentioned before, we have a phase 2 goals. We want to grow our production from 5 million tons per annum of TSO to 15 million tons per annum of concentrate. We need a concentrated plant, we need a bigger market, more real capacity, and all those things.
The bargaining was held with the involvement of the United Workers Union of Liberia, where Secretary General J. Snen termed it difficult but rewarding, expressing hopes that the CBA will be fully implemented in the interest of industrial peace and harmony. Unlike the past, Mr. Snen similarly informed the workers that they have made some gains during the CBA negotiation in the areas of variable bonus, school fees, housing, water supplies, maternity leave, medical insurance, shift, and hazard allowance.
From how we negotiated, the workers made some gains. So I just want to, we come to variable bonus, we made a gain. We made a gain in school fees. We made a gain in housing. We made a gain in water supply. We made a gain in maternity leave. One of the biggest things we're making in those workers that we call contractors. Definitely the contract with employment. This time, the union and management have agreed that the employment will be regularized, but they will take effect the first month in next year. So it's a plus.
Representing the Ministry of Labor, Assistant Labor Minister for Trade, Union Affairs and Social Dialogue, Hussein Mensah, said the CBA will bring clarity to the industrial relations between workers and management. Assistant Minister Mensah reminded the parties that the CBA, when signed, becomes legally binding upon the parties. As such, no one should pay lip service to the document.
I want to remind both parties about the importance of the document that you are about to sign. And I would like to verbatimly read the objective of CBA. It is not a piece of document that can discuss, sign, and decide. It becomes the working by Chapter 38, Section 38.1, do with the objectives of CBA. Part 9, I talked to you about the heading is agreement making and industrial. So what was the objective of CBA says? The objective of this chapter are to establish a legal framework that A, promotes good faith bargaining and collective agreement as a process for negotiating and determining working conditions, and B, enables employers and workers to exercise their fundamental rights to bargain collective and to engage in strikes and lockouts in and
The ceremony, which was witnessed by the senior management of the ArcelorMittal Liberia, the leadership of the United Workers Union of Liberia and its local union number 4, ArcelorMittal Liberia Workers Union, and the Ministry of Labor, was held over the weekend in Yekepa, Nima County. The CBA, which is the fifth between the workers and their management since the company started operations in Liberia, runs 2021 to 2024 respectively. This is Esther Daku reporting for Freedom News.
Thank to our staff, Esther Daku there, for all the Gantok who reported this story. Cannot bring you this beautiful song by Gina Fema. His John Freeman, an African soldier. Let me say good morning to my own boss, Abraham Garson. Hey, Brian John, watching us there. My own brother and friend, Brian John. Americana. You guys are following us. This is the Nation Biggest Magazine program. Let me say good morning to my own brother and friend, Chris and Paul. Joseph Small. Good morning, my brother. Hey, the musical Hazard, Moses Fala. Good morning, my brother. By 7:30, you join the main Quantity. The most talk about Quantity show will be live by 7:30. Who can interpret this one to me? Is that Senator Yobli Kanga Lawrence? Or Senator Jonathan Kapi? Okay, let now John. I was major development we should not buy this beautiful Liberian music. Finance Minister Samuel Tuer during the week failed to appear before the Liberian Senate. The ministers was due to appear before the upper house to present on the long running discussions of the domestic debt portfolio. But in his communication to the Senate, Minister Samuel Tuer said he could not appear before the August body due to time constraint. He said, being cognizant of the importance of the discussion he is being invited on, he would appreciate if the Senate can reschedule his appearance. The communications of Minister Tuer was read by Secretary of the Liberian Senate, Nambola Sengwe. Here is Nambola Sengwe.
The Minister, March 17, 2022, Honorable J. Nambola Sengwe, Secretary of the Senate, the Reverend Liberian. Dear Honorable Sengwe, with compliment, I acknowledge receipt of a letter dated 2022 with reference citing me to appear before the State of Liberia debt stock. While the hearing is slated for Thursday, March 17, 2022, at this hour, I regret to inform the Honorable Senate, through your good office, of my inability to attend due to unresolvable time constraints. I'm fully aware of the critical need to build the Senate on this very important matter as we strive to settle government's obligations to our foreign partners and local Liberian institutions. I therefore kindly request the Senate to reschedule my appearance to a suitable date. I look forward to your kind assistance and extend to you and the Honorable Committee the assurances of my highest esteem. Sincerely, Samuel B. Tuer Jr., Minister.
Meanwhile, most of the county senators are just made a motion to reschedule the finance minister's appearing on next week. There is Senator Sir Joseph.
Honorable Patron and fellow colleagues, I think this issue was debated the last time when the minister was to appear, and now he has sent a communication asking for a change of date. Let us not also forget the minister was here to discuss those issues, and then we decided to take it to another day. So since the minister has requested that it was fully, I allow on my feet, I move if I can obtain a second, that this communication be accepted and that the minister appear on Tuesday. If I can obtain a second. And so now the communication from what they receive is reappearing itself for Tuesday next week. Are we ready to vote? Considering that the issue was debated and also noting that the minister did appear before on this matter, it's a clear indication that the minister is in full compliance with the preliminary decision. I say the judge.
Senator Tad Joseph Elias was Senate Secretary Nambala Senway.
At this time, we do no more war. Everybody want peace now for all the candidates.
This is our way of saying good morning to the Basulian. The people of Basel, River said, Mesa of Mike Gibby, and that of Mosa Rido, with Senator Ibrahim Darius Didon.
Everybody want peace. Nigeria and people want peace.
Joe Jiman Juruba. I wish I had the voice to sing. Philip Tony watching out from Bishop Island. Joseph Small. Constant Bojua Bowia. The third. Gabriel Bullen. Brand Double Junior. Hey, Vavi Kumar. Good morning, big brother. We're saying good morning to the Basulian, the people of Grand Bassa County, Superintendent Janjek Bagbe. Everybody want peace. Liberian need peace. By 7:30 is the most talked about show, the concert. This is your most talked about magazine show. The nation bigger magazine show. Freedom News Archive. Refresh your mind during those days. Hey, Jarati Murray. And my own news director, Willie Tuba. You are not feeling well. I wish you speedy recovery. Not forgetting about the editor in chief, Mr. Jeff Jefferson. Hey, Dua Cruzo. Can you interpret this song for me? Let me say good morning to my own partner, Blessing Peter. News just coming in says 2 ambassadors from the Republics of Japan and the State of Israel during the week presented a letter of credence to President George Weah at the cabinet rooms of the executive mansion. In presenting his letter of credence to the Liberian leader, Japan ambassador to extraordinary Masaki Hasumbu expressed sincere appreciation to President George Weah for the excellent receptions accorded him and his team upon the arrival at the executive mansion. Ambassador Ishibu used the occasion on behalf of the empires of prime ministers of Japan to empathize with Liberia and President George Weah for the devastating effect of the coronavirus pandemic on the country. He hailed President Weah's tireless effort in upholding and strengthening bilateral ties between Liberia and Japan, evidenced by what he called President Weah's participation in the Tokyo International Conference on Africa held in Japan in 2019. He stressed that the cooperation between Liberia and Japan focuses on infrastructure, agriculture, and human development. The news Japan ambassador said Japan greatly anticipates President Weah's participation in this year's editions of which he said is scheduled to take place in Tunisia. Ambassador Anshibu reflects on Japan's involvement with Liberia development programs while also expressing sincere appreciation to President Weah for the level of cooperation the government demonstrated in the construction of the Somalia Dry Road, which is now the Japan Freeway. He added that Japan was equally grateful for the cooperation between the two countries and expressed hope that such cooperation be further strengthened for Liberia and Africa development. Ambassador Shibu expressed hope that Liberia and Japan can also endeavor to foster close ties on great economic matters for common good of the respective people. In related development, the new ambassador extraordinary of Israel, Mrs. Salamid Safud Sar, also presented a letter of credence to President George Weah, thanking him for the warm reception accorded her. She recalled how Liberia and Israel have enjoyed excellent friendship over the years, indicating that Liberia played a pivotal role several years ago in the formation of Israel state. She She said such support was vividly shown at different international forums, mainly at the level of the United Nations and African Union. Shafu further asserted that Liberia was happy, that Asia was happy to reach out to Liberia, supporting the development, the government flagship development agenda, the Pro Agenda for Prosperity and Development. She then recalled President Weah's visit to Israel, in which he requested her country Israel technical support to Liberia, adding as a result of the government aid, several Liberian students who are now undergoing technical students in the field of agriculture in Israel. She added, while contributed to Liberia prosperity if they return, adding is the example of Israel help to Liberia government realize its development agenda. Ambassador Sefu also recount her predecessor's resilience effort in resuscitating the country's health and pledged continuance in a similar path. For his part, President Weah expressed certifications over what he called very cordial and long-standing relationship existing between the two countries and Liberia. The Liberian leader also recalled the historic role Liberia played by the United Nations in bringing the state of Israel to being. President Weah said he was extremely pleased to receive letters of credence from the two countries involved. He expressed gratitude for the long-standing relationship sustained between Liberia and the two countries, most especially Japan's contribution to the social economic well-being of Liberia and its people. During the week, pastors jailed for raping 2-year-old girl. The pastors who from the House of Jesus Christ in Cowell has been remanded at the Monrovia Central Prison for allegedly raping 12-year-old girl in his church. Suspect Jackson Zabad, age 40, according to our judicial correspondent, allegedly committed the act in one of his classrooms of the church school in Cowell. Police investigation claimed that the victim's mother took them to the deliverance at the pastor church where he prayerly eyes given her garlic water to drink. Pastor Zabad asked the two TH to follow him in the church school building to test them where he sexually abused them. Our judicial correspondent further said the two 12-year-old victims and their mother, evident to the police, were back with medical report from the start of the C1-stop center regarding the pastor's alleged action. Africa's share for the second time around. This one is called Dabi. This is your nation's biggest magazine program, the Freedom's News Archive. I highlight major happening during the week. Good morning, Joseph Small. Joseph B. Small. Big Brother Vafi Command. Thank you for watching us. By 7:30, it's a show, a concert.
Everybody get our own era. Down to the police. Let's go to the jump set.
Everybody get their area. Freedom F in the area is giving incredible news. Informing the people about happenings, entertainment, education. That's our area.
Your era is your era. My era is my era. My era, yes, 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 my era.
It's Miss Salah Tuba, the wife of Willie Tuba. You know, to every fine thing or to every long road, there will always be an end. Despite our era being entertainment, information, and education, as for now, we'd like to draw down the curtains of the show. So let us bring you the headlines before we take lead of you. President George Weah during the week named good governance as the sure ways of sustaining national development in the sub-regions. As National Election Commissions during the week issued election rates for the conduct of by-elections of the senatorial elections in Lofa County. Thank you for following us. Join us next week, Saturday, same time, same station. This is Benjamin Quay Johnson's on your show this morning. Bye-bye.